Greetings and welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into reparenting, exploring all of the tools and resources that you'll need to help you along your journey. This podcast is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading. The second is a discussion of the reading, followed by suggested journal prompts. And the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad you've joined us today on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe this podcast wherever you're listening, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your help here really makes a huge difference in allowing us to spread the word and build a more supportive community as we continue with our self-reparenting. Now, before we get started, I have some quick updates for you. First, I'd like to introduce our Patreon community. Here, for a small monthly fee, you can join us for 3 weekly meetings for additional support with your reparenting journey. On Sundays, we have a meditation group. On Tuesdays, we have a book club discussion. And on Thursdays, we have open topic conversations. You can find out more details about this if you go to the Reparenting Daily website and check out on the community tab. In addition to that, we also have a WhatsApp group to foster more daily connection and support for whenever you need it. And this is a community of fellow travelers from around the world who will always be there when help is needed. It's just one of the many ways that we're building our network of resources that are really going to help support your reparenting journey. For the next update, I'm very excited to announce that I've just released some first books. The first is probably the most important, and it's called the Reparenting Daily Journal. Now, this journal is a daily guide for 365 days of the year. We'll be starting in 2025, and basically each month corresponds to a theme in reparenting, and each week of each month corresponds to a sub-theme of the monthly theme. Now, from the beginning of the year, 2025, each daily episode will correspond with the themes in the daily workbooks. And so you can use this as a guide to work through your reparenting journey to stay focused, ensuring that you cover all of the most critical areas within a year's time. And again, this will be aligning up with the podcast, so you can use both of these to make a more engaging and interactive experience. This is ensuring that you really book progress on your reparenting journey. The next set of books I've written is called Fairy Tales for Reparenting. This is a collection of 3 books that contain short stories or fairy tales inspired from Jungian analysis, mythology, philosophy, and psychology that really is targeted to helping you connect to your inner child. And so these stories are very short. They're not very long. They're written in a very simple manner so that it's not too taxing on you, so you can more easily connect with the joy and fun of your inner child. More interestingly, however, is that at the end of each story, there's an analysis section that really analyzes the main themes and concepts within each story to provide encouragement and inspiration. Additionally, you will find corresponding journal prompts after each story and each analysis section to help you reflect deeper on how the themes of each fairy tale can be reflected and correspond to your own personal journey as you work towards self-expansion. You can find all of these books now available on Amazon, so go ahead and give us a look and give us some support. And as I've mentioned before, this entire process of reparenting and self-expansion is really about growth, iterative change, and continuous improvement. Much like the process of nurturing the bonsai tree, our reparenting journey requires our consistency and care. So many thanks for being here and for supporting this project, and also to committing on your journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is from Positive Psychology, and it's an article entitled, What is Self-Acceptance? 25 Exercises plus Definitions and Quotes. This is a reminder the month is February. The theme of the month is self-compassion and self-kindness. We're in the 3rd week, February 15th until the 21st. And the theme for this week is Cultivating Inner Warmth and Self-Acceptance. Just as a reminder, the weeks are corresponding in a 7-day period, so not an actual week on your calendar, but a 7-day period just to keep the flow. It was easier for me to structure the program that way. So Just as a quick reminder, in case you're wondering why the weeks are split this way, it's just because we start at 1, go to 7, and then we start the next week. Going to the article. Do you accept yourself? It might sound like an odd question after all. What does it even mean to accept yourself? Don't we all accept ourselves as a regular part of living our day-to-day lives? As it turns out, self-acceptance is not an automatic or default state. Many of us have trouble accepting ourselves exactly as we are. It's not so hard to accept the good parts of ourselves, but what about the rest? Surely we don't accept our flaws and failures. In fact, that's exactly what we should do. We want to learn more about why we need to accept ourselves, the good and the bad, and to get some practical suggestions on how to do it. What is the meaning of self-acceptance? Self-acceptance is exactly what its name suggests, the state of complete acceptance of oneself. True self-acceptance is embracing who you are without any qualifications, conditions, or exceptions. For an academic definition, we can turn to Morgado and colleagues 2014. Self-acceptance is an individual's acceptance of all of his or her attributes, positive or negative. This definition emphasizes the importance of accepting all facets of the self. It's not enough to simply embrace the good, valuable, or positive about yourself. To embody true self-acceptance, you must also embrace less desirable and negative and the ugly parts of yourself. If you're thinking that accepting all the negative aspects of yourself sounds difficult, you're not wrong. It's not easy to accept the thing that we desperately want to change about ourselves. However, counterintuitively, it is only by truly accepting ourselves that we can even begin the process of meaningful self-improvement and self-expansion, I would add. In other words, we must first acknowledge that we have an undesirable trait and habit before we can start off in our journey for improvement. Unconditional self-acceptance. To begin working on yourself, the first step is not just self-acceptance, but unconditional self-acceptance. It's relatively easy to accept ourselves when we just did something great, won an award, fell in love, started a fantastic new job. But accepting ourselves at our lowest and with our faults and flaws in stark relief is the real mark of unconditional self-acceptance. According to therapist Russell Geiger, 2013, unconditional self-acceptance is understanding that you are separate from your actions and your qualities. You accept that you have made mistakes and that you have flaws, but you do not let them define you. You accept that, as a fallible human being, you are less than perfect. You will often perform well, but you will also err at times. You always unconditionally accept yourself without judgment. When you practice unconditional self-acceptance, you can begin to love yourself, embrace your authentic self, and work on improving your less than desirable traits and qualities. Self-acceptance versus self-esteem. Although self-acceptance is related to other self-concepts, it is a distinct construct. Its close cousin, self-esteem, is also centered on your relationship with yourself, but they differ in an important way. Self-esteem refers to how you feel about yourself, whether you feel you are generally good, worthwhile, valuable. Self-acceptance is simply acknowledging and accepting that you are who you are. As Seltzer 2008 puts it, whereas self-esteem refers to how valuable, worthwhile, or worthwhile we see ourselves, self-acceptance alludes to a far more global affirmation of oneself. When we're self-accepting, we're able to embrace all facets of ourselves, not just the positive, more esteemable parts. Full self-acceptance can lay the foundations for positive self-esteem. The two frequently go hand in hand, but they concern two different aspects of how we think and feel about ourselves. Thank you. That's the reading for today. Just as a reminder, I've only read a very, very, very small portion of this article, so please do go back and check it out. We might check out some other parts later on in the week. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this reading focuses on self-acceptance, which is essential for self-expansion because it allows us to embrace all aspects of who we are, both our strengths as well as our flaws, which is of the utmost necessary to establish as a foundation for our continued growth. As this article explains, true self-acceptance means embracing both the positive and the negative parts of ourselves without judgment or conditions. This is important for self-expansion because we cannot effectively improve ourselves without first acknowledging where we currently stand. Unconditional self-acceptance, as described by Russell Geiger, is the ability to separate our inherent worth from our actions and our mistakes. This mindset empowers us to work on our weaknesses from a place of compassion rather than one of self-criticism. When we can fully accept ourselves, we create a safe inner environment where growth, learning, and expansion can happen naturally and without fear of failure. Self-acceptance becomes the solid ground from which we can reach our highest potential. While self-acceptance and self-esteem are different, they work together to shape how we feel about ourselves. Self-acceptance is about embracing who we are, while self-esteem is about how we feel about our value and worth. Without self-acceptance, self-esteem becomes fragile because it may rely on external achievements or perfection. Conversely, self-acceptance builds a stable sense of self-worth by affirming that we are valuable even when we make a mistake or fall short. Together, self-esteem and self-acceptance create a powerful inner balance. Self-acceptance helps us face challenges without shame, while self-esteem gives us the confidence to pursue our goals. When both are strong, we feel secure, authentic, and capable of expanding into the best versions of ourselves. As we go into the journal prompt today, number 1. In what ways do I struggle to fully accept myself? And how might self-acceptance help me grow beyond limitations? Number 2. How has my self-esteem been influenced by my accomplishments or failures? How would it change if it were based on self-acceptance instead? And the last, what would unconditional self-acceptance look like for me? And how can I begin practicing that in my daily life? As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself and do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please find a place where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Just take some time to listen to yourself. Next, be sure that you are taking some time to be with your breath to connect with your body. Don't be disturbed or overwhelmed by your thoughts. Simply allow them to pass. Just observe them. Do not engage with your thoughts. Only be mindful of them passing as if they are drifting down a river. Use this time to connect with yourself. Whatever time of day you are listening to this, Namaste.